Hi there, it's Dr. Tina again, and I'm so excited to be with you again. And here's the deal for today. Let's say we're going to be very practical and we're going to put an end to your struggles as a person, as a parent. And I really want you to kind of get the tools and really start living a positive and successful and just this amazing and joyful life. After just beginning, that will begin, all this journey will begin with this interview. And therefore I did invite this very special guest today, Dr. Paul Jenkins, and he is a positivity psychologist. So hi Paul, I'm so honored to have you today.
Dr. Tina.
Hi.
I am thrilled to be here with you. This is exciting. I love what you're doing to empower parents and other people all over the world. This is exciting.
Yeah, I just love it. It's a pleasure, and it's this burning desire inside me, and I'm so excited, and I'm just on fire when doing it. So therefore, I'm so honored and lucky to have you as a master in positive psychology. So just for a start, please tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you came into positive psychology.
It's been an interesting journey for me. I actually started out as a chemical engineering major in my undergraduate program at the university.
Oh,
I've come a little ways since then. I found out that really what lights me up is having conversations with people about principles. Now, principles are natural laws. Like gravity. You never get up in the morning and think, I wonder if gravity's on today.
mm-hmm.
It tends to be, and it affects you. So our understanding of those principles affects all of our outcomes in life. So the long story short, I went through a PhD program in clinical psychology. I've been a practicing psychologist now for between 2 and 3 decades. I think I'm at about 26 years now. I lose track. Time accelerates as you get older. Somewhere along the line, I realized, you know what? Psychology for me is closer than chemical engineering was to what I'm really passionate about. And then I made another shift to positive psychology. Mm-hmm. If you think of your mental health on a continuum or a spectrum, clear over on the left end is the sick end. So that's where we have diagnosis, pathology, treatment, all those fun things. I'm really more excited about the other end of that spectrum. Mm-hmm. And to understand that, if we go to the middle first, that's health. Health meaning not sick. So you could be sick in bed with a fever, throwing up. There comes a time you can get out of bed and you're not sick. But that doesn't mean you're truly fit, thriving, prospering. That's at the other end of the spectrum. So my whole practice now is focused on positive psychology, sharing and illuminating principles that allow people to get to that healthy end of the spectrum. Parenting, for example, this is an area where I've spent a lot of my career. And there's a lot of parents that I talk to that say, oh, I'm not a good parent. Well, you know what? They really are pretty good parents.
Yeah.
But what they're realizing is they could be a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And it could always be better. So we start from wherever we are and then apply principles that allow us to move farther along that continuum to the thriving side of things. So I have a ball doing what I do. I really enjoy being a psychologist. And here's something I tell my clients sometimes. My job is to illuminate the obvious, which is cool because I get paid to tell people things that they already know or to show them things they already see. But there's a lot of obvious things that are completely unnoticed, like the processes that are going on in our own thinking. They're obvious once they're called to your attention, but completely unnoticed until that time.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of fun doing that. And I'm thrilled to be with you today for this
Amazing.
conversation.
And I am so happy, and I know all of the parents, and I think some parents to be who are watching as well, because I know how much struggle comes with when you become a parent, especially when you become a parent for the first time.
Right.
And you know what I truly believe, and I know I've mentioned it in other interviews, but this is, you know, so strong with me, I have to, you know, tell it all over again, that parental mindset, and I'm just curious if you would agree, that parental mindset is crucial when it comes to raising happy child and successful child, because they are just, you know, learning by modeling, and they are just taking, you know, our behaviors and feelings and everything we do in a specific situation and put those things on autopilot, and now they in a way know how to behave and react, even though this could be really a detrimental approach sometimes, not causing, you know, much satisfaction and happiness in life. So what would you say about that?
We are programmed by, just like a computer is programmed, except human beings are so much more complex than a computer. But we're programmed by our parents.
Yeah.
I grew up programmed to speak English.
Yeah.
I didn't choose to speak English. I was programmed to speak English.
Yeah.
And since I've learned another language, I'm fluent in Finnish, which I chose, but I wasn't programmed in that language. And Tina, you were programmed in a different language. Exactly. And we don't choose it. It's what our parents program us to do. And as you were saying, children learn from what's programmed into them, including their language, but also how they observe and watch their parents. And you mentioned a parental mindset. Our mindset drives everything that we do. Being conscious and aware of that mindset is a very powerful thing to do, but it's risky. Because as soon as you become aware of your own thinking and your own mindset, you'll see also how it's impacting your children or other people around you. And sometimes that stings. And it's easy for a parent to take a position and say, oh, I'm a bad parent. Look what I've done. Really, you're just doing what you were programmed to do. And your kids will too. Yeah. So becoming aware of that is one step. And then that puts us in a position where we can actually choose to do something differently. I had a mom I was working with last week who was feeling bad about how she had raised her kids. And she admitted to me, she said, you know what? I never even knew it was a possibility to do what I call positive parenting. She didn't even know. So she's just going with what she was programmed to do. It's so important to realize this, because then as parents, we can make a conscious choice to do it differently, perhaps, than the way our own parents did. And I think our own parents did the best they knew how to do. Yeah. You know, with what they were programmed to do as well.
Exactly.
But it puts us in a position of conscious choice, and that's really important.
But how do we kind of, you know, see these programs? How do we become aware of those? And how do we successfully change them in a way that we could, you know, reprogram our mind to just, you know, now I'm, you know, I always say like that nowadays, we are having like this psychosis going on in the world of negativity, in a way people are trying to become more positive, and positive way of thinking in life is really kind of slowly progressing. But you know, a lot of people have tried, and in a way, you know, they say, oh, I tried law of attraction and this is not working, and the negative thoughts are coming. I'm coming home from work at home, you know, all these negative thoughts are all on autopilot, how do we effectively, first of just see these programs and in a way, recognize them? And how do we then effectively change? Do you have any tool?
Yes.
Amazing.
And thank you for asking, because until we see it as a choice, it's not. And we just roll with whatever we're programmed to do. So you're actually leading right into the first step, and that is awareness. I talk to my clients about a concept called metacognition.
Okay.
Now, metacognition is a fancy psychological made-up word. We make up words in psychology because it makes us feel smart. But this one means, if you break it down, cognition just means thinking. Okay, whatever your mind is doing, it's thinking. Mm-hmm. Metacognition is a higher level. It's thinking about thinking. And now that I've mentioned it, do you notice that you can do this? Mm-hmm. You can think about your own thinking. This is huge. Yeah, because until you think about your own thinking, your thinking drives you. And metacognition creates a little space, and in that space is where choice exists. Mm-hmm. So we pause to think about our thinking. I told you earlier, my job is to illuminate the obvious.
Yeah.
It's totally obvious that you can think about your thinking, but most people don't even notice it until it's called to their attention. Okay. In that way. That's the first step. Think about your thinking.
Okay.
You were about to say something.
Yeah, I was, because I'm just having dad that was with a little girl in my practice last week, and we were kind of talking about all this thing and mindset and how to raise a child and so on. Mm-hmm. And then we came into, actually, he was trying to be a conscious parent and all this positivity kind of theories, addict in a way, but he was really unsatisfied because he said, okay, I'm aware of my thoughts now, but they're just being negative ones. Like now I've decided to become more positive and to live a different life, more happy life. And now all I can think of is just negative stuff, and I struggle even more. So what to do in that case?
That's why I said sometimes this stings. Sometimes it hurts a little bit to go to that metacognition and think about our thinking, because you might not like what you see. Mm-hmm. Having said that, it also puts you in a position of choice. And this is huge, because until you see it as a choice, it's not. So this client of yours who realized, oh, my thinking is very, very much negative. Okay, good to know that. Does it have to be negative? No.
Obviously not.
But Tina, we get really, really good at whatever we've already practiced.
Exactly.
So if he's practiced negative thinking all of these years, then that's naturally what will come to his mind, just like English is the first language that comes to mind. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm programmed with. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's the right language. It's just the one that I was programmed with. So, So for him, the negative thoughts will come. Here's a little exercise. In fact, all of you who are listening can try this just briefly.
Okay.
Clear your mind, and that's harder for some people than for others, but just kind of quiet the noise for a minute and consider this question. I wonder what thought I'll have next.
This is actually mine. I always use this one. It's amazing.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Because there's a little brief moment where there's nothing.
Yeah, just the gap, the void. Yeah.
It's quiet in there. Mm-hmm. And usually it's pretty noisy. But so what if the next thought that creeps into your mind is a negative one? Well, just notice that. And notice this. You are the observer of those thoughts. You're not your thoughts. You're the observer of your thoughts. And some of them that come in, they could come from anywhere. You know, we think we control our thoughts, really? Well, don't think about grapefruit. And as soon as I say that, what are you doing? You're thinking about grapefruit.
Exactly.
Right? So we don't control all of our thoughts, but we do get to observe them. And if we see that they're negative, then can we ask the next question? Do they have to be? Do they have to be negative? And no, they don't. That takes some training. In fact, a big part of what I do with my clients is centered around reprogramming your mind to be more positive. I've written 2 books on positivity. The first one's called Pathological Positivity, which I take some flack for because the word pathological in psychology means disordered, disconnected from reality, crazy. And it sounds a little crazy to some people to consider what I'm proposing, and that is that you can be positive no matter what. Even if you're being tortured, even if you're dying, you can still be positive. And I've got several examples of why and how that's true. So I'm convinced, Tina, that we have the ability to choose and to observe and monitor our own thinking. Then what we practice, we get better at. And it might take some practice. For example, let's say that there's a parent listening to our program here today. And if you're the parent, then pay attention, okay? And this parent is thinking, I'm not a very good parent. Okay, here's the truth of the matter. There's a whole lot of parents that are worse than you. And there's a whole lot of parents that are better. So here you are right in the middle between better and worse. Could always be better, could always be worse. That means there's an argument for, hey, I'm a pretty good parent. What if you were to try to say that to yourself instead? I'm a pretty good parent. It feels different.
Yeah, it does. It just instantly you can feel this, energy shift in a way or the shift in feeling. But what about if you don't believe, you're not having this okay, or you obviously don't have self-confidence as a parent if you say you're a bad parent, or if someone says, but what if I don't believe what I'm saying? I don't believe I'm a pretty good parent. What if I don't disbelieve that? I don't believe it. What
then
is it then?
You won't feel any better. Because meanwhile, you've got an argument going on in your own mindset. And that argument is, no, well, not really.
Yeah. Now right? What? Now what?
So which one are you really saying? I'm a bad parent? I'm a good parent. Choose a position. And notice this. You're choosing to believe one of those. There's arguments for both. Because there's a whole lot of parents worse than you. I used to do child custody evaluations for the court, including parental fitness evaluations of people who the court was going to take away their parental rights. Honestly, Tina, you can't shock me. I have heard some of the darndest stuff you can imagine that people were doing. And I know I could come up with stories about parents who are doing a far worse job than you are. So the truth of the matter is, I usually say it this way to my clients. It is what it is, including how good of a parent you are. You're exactly here, and it could always be better, and it could always be worse. So and there's 2 processes going on in our mind. This is why metacognition is helpful. When you think about your thinking, you'll see that you are judging yourself.
Yes.
You can't turn it off. You're going to do it. It's part of being a human being. Welcome to Earth. How you judge yourself depends on which standard you use as a comparison. I ask people all the time, am I a tall man? Well, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
What if I tell you I'm 6'2"? Well, that, at least in English measurements, means something to some people, but it's still a standard. I have a picture of myself standing next to Mark Eaton. Mark is a former center for the Utah Jazz, an NBA team. He's 7'4". Okay. That is
So,
giant.
yeah.
He's like this much taller than me. So am I a tall man? Well, it depends on who or what you compare me to. Same thing. Am I a good parent? Well, notice that you're already answering that, and that your answer depends on what you're comparing yourself to. Because you see all of these things you could be doing better, right?
Yeah.
And compared to that, you suck.
Mm.
But compared to all of those parents that are doing worse, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
That matters, because the energy that you create as you judge yourself is the energy that you will use now to do the other process, and that's creation. Creation of what is to be. What kind of a parent will you be tomorrow, or the next day, or next week? You don't know, because we haven't created that yet. You've got something to do with it, and the energy that you bring to that creation game is whatever you've already generated as you've judged yourself. So that's why it's so important. And that's why it's a choice too. You choose your position. And then from that position, you'll have the energy to move forward and actually create something better.
Amazing.
And you've got the power to make a mess too. I mean, you can go make it worse if you want, which would be ridiculous, right?
Exactly.
Well, think about that for a minute. What if I gave you an assignment to somehow, in the next half hour, somehow make your life worse? Be a worse parent in the next half. Yeah, you could totally do that. But you wouldn't do it on purpose.
Exactly. Yeah.
And my point there is that your mind has the ability to create that. When you come from a positive energy, feeling grateful for the abundant life that you have, for the rich blessing that you experience in being a parent in the first place. What? That is so amazing that you're a parent. Coming from that energy, you're more likely to focus on and get consciously in tune with ways that you can actually improve as a parent. And you could always improve.
Yeah, I believe that too. And in a way that if I have to think something, that it better be positive and pleasant, and if thoughts are coming, and I'll better enjoy them, if I have to, if this process in our minds is just, kind of self-creating these thoughts and everything. So, but what about people who are, striving to become more, calm and more, in a way, conscious parents, or even just, conscious in their lives, and they go to meditation? And one of the things, they in a way learn, it depends on a technique, is, you, or maybe, they maybe understand this concept wrong, is you have to stop your thoughts. Is it possible to stop them? What would you say?
It's not easy. When we did that exercise a moment ago, when I said, consider this thought, I wonder what thought I'll have next.
Yeah.
In that brief moment, your thoughts stop and you watch your thoughts. You observe your thoughts. I think when people practice meditation or mindfulness or practices of enlightenment, I think what we're going for is that clear the mind, get some of the noise to calm down for a moment so that you can exist in that state of peace. And then notice that thoughts are going to come in.
Yeah.
Watch them.
Watch them.
Notice them.
Just
Observe them.
yeah,
Don't get sucked into them.
yeah, yeah.
Don't think that it means anything necessarily about you. It's simply you're a human being and you're going to have these processes going on in your mind. You can observe those. That puts you back in the driver's seat. So
Yeah. Just to help you to get in tune with this peace and this calmness that is always present. And in that way, you are, in a way, just devoid of thoughts. But then again, they show up as the waves. You're being the ocean, and thoughts are the waves coming and going, and you're just observing them. Not in a way, not affected. Kind of. You don't get attached to what they mean. They just come and go. I think that's the main point of meditation, and getting into this kind of connection to yourself and being calm. But okay, we are having some parents out there who are just at the beginning of this path, and they are working full time, coming home, a toddler is waiting, and they're having a spouse who also had a really, really stressful day. So, a lot of parents are struggling, because I'm getting these kind of questions on a daily basis. What to do? I don't want to yell, but I do. I'm so stressed. I can go and have this meditation for 20 minutes, but this can happen at the end of the day when I am completely, alone. But now I have to deal with all these thoughts and stress and emotions, and I sometimes I just feel this overload of emotion and everything, and I explode. How do you have any effective tools how we can, in a way, moving to transforming ourselves from being a yelling parent into more calm and maybe conscious one?
That has been my number one video on YouTube. How to get your kids to listen without yelling. Because a lot of us as parents get sucked into that, and out of frustration or a sense of desperation, we sometimes start to yell. And usually when parents yell, they get a quick response from the kids. But that's an illusion, because the yelling actually reinforces negative behavior, which we won't get into necessarily on this particular interview. But because I get a quick response, I think that that's working for me. But then I feel bad because I just yelled, and then I judge myself, and I think I'm a bad parent, and we're off to the races. So here's a practice that I think is really useful, and I call it being present. Now, present in the English language, present has 3 meanings. It means here in this space. It means now in this time, and it means a gift, like I give you a present for Christmas. So it's a gift to our children to be present. It's a gift to ourselves to be present. Think about it. When you're upset, your mind has been pulled from here and now to things that have already happened that you're upset about, or to things that have not yet happened that you're worried about. Why would you ever yell at your child? Well, because they did something. Well, that's past. Or I really want them to do something. Well, that's future. What about right now? And in this moment, in this very moment, is anything lacking? I asked a couple on my couch recently, in this moment, is anything lacking? And she said, well, we don't have enough money.
Okay.
Wait, I mean right now. Do you have enough money for right now? Oh, well, yeah, for right now, but we have bills to pay. See how her mind went to the future? But right now, they've got plenty. And he said, well, I'm a little hungry. Okay, you're a little hungry, but are you okay right now? Oh, yeah, I'm good right now. But I'm worried that if I don't eat soon, I'll be. See, the mind shifts to the future and we feel anxiety. The mind shifts to the past and we feel shame and depression. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're good.
Yeah.
And this is a powerful parenting tool because if you can be absolutely 100% present for your children, you're not thinking about what happened at work. You're not worried about what's going to happen if the kid doesn't do his homework. You're here. You're now. You're present. That's a gift.
Yeah, it is. But how to achieve it? To be present, most of the time. What, because there is, it's a lot of going on, in
Sure.
life and in moment to moment. So how to achieve that? How to achieve this present? I love your definition of it because, I'm asking all sorts of experts now the same question, and it's amazing what kind of answers come from them. And how certain answers resonate with you more, and and that's the beauty of it, because we're different. And I really love your definition. So, but how to achieve it, to just to put it on autopilot in a way?
It takes practice.
Again.
Because everything that I suggest to you, if it's not something that you're used to, it's not going to feel normal. So here's a few very practical things you can do. Practice saying, this is good. And you have to raise your eyebrows just a little. Okay? This is good. When would you say that? When you feel like yelling, when you feel tipped over, when you feel that things are not the way they should be, practice saying, this is good. Now, Tina, when you do this, you've got a fight on your hands, or at least in your mind, because your mind is saying, this isn't good. This isn't the way it should be. And you get all wound up, right? When you say this is good, your mind is going to be like, what? What could possibly be good about this?
Yeah.
Well, that's a great question. But usually it's not a question. It's a statement disguised as a question. Because you're actually saying nothing could be good about this. Turn it back into a question. What could possibly be good about this? And your mind will give you some answers that are profound, that allow you to be present. Things like, I'm really mad at my kid. Wait, okay, this is good. Well, what's good about this? I have a kid. Wow. You know how many people I talk to almost on a daily basis who wish they had kids?
Yeah.
You got a kid. How amazing and abundant and awesome is that? Now that changes the energy. So when you practice saying, this is good. Okay, here's another one. Practice saying, this is exactly as it should be. Because if you're upset, you think that things are not the way they should be. Well, do you know? I mean, do you know for sure, like you've got some cosmic connection to the grand calendar of all things, that this is not how it should be? I've interviewed so many people. I do a weekly podcast. I've been doing this since 2007, where I interview inspiring people about their story. And every single one of them has a hard part of the story. They were paralyzed, or they were kidnapped, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a hard part. Well, is that what should happen? The truth is that's what did happen. And when we tell ourselves, this isn't the way it should be, we get all tied in knots emotionally. If we practice saying things are exactly as they should be, we have a whole different emotional response to it.
It is.
And it allows us to be present with our child. See how powerful that is? I've got one more for you.
Amazing.
Remember your job. Your job as a parent, now all of my YouTube audience knows this because I harp on it all the time. Your job as a parent is to love them no matter what and even if. No matter what and even if. See, as parents, we get pulled off center sometimes and we think our job is to make sure that they, all right, fill in the blanks, make sure that they clean up their room. Make sure that they get their homework done. Make sure that they're good, productive citizens. Make sure that they always love me as their mother. Make sure that they That is so aggravating and frustrating, and it annoys our kids too.
Yeah.
You can't make sure that they anything. They are agents in and of themselves. They are people. You made a comment about this earlier, Tina. It's not a little copy of me.
Yeah.
I have to make sure that this kid is just like me. No, this is a human being. The only reason you're their parent is because you showed up on the earth before they did. Could have been the other way around because our parents didn't know what they were doing either.
Yeah.
So your job, remember, your job is to love them no matter what and even if. What if you believed that that was your only job? How would you feel?
Amazing. It would be just,
I can do that.
I can do that. And, it feels easy and it feels natural, and and we're coming to the unconditional love, in a way here where we really need to ditch our egos as parents, because we need to, they are not our, as you said, and we had this wonderful conversation before the interview started, they're not just little small copies of ourselves, but they're being just another new individual with all this potential and possibilities, and they are having their own desires and whatever you may call it, soul purpose, whatever. So we really need to be here in a way nurturer and in a way protector, because of course a 2-year-old doesn't know how to cross the street, but here it in a way ends this egoic part of being parent. Now just be there for them, but just let them breathe, let them go their own way. And I think this is so amazing and profound if we just realize and become aware of this, because it's so much easier. We in a way we tend to, when we are too much in our minds, we tend to complicate things too much.
Oh yeah.
And in that way it's easy, just let it be.
Your job is to love them, no matter what and even if. That's the unconditional part. And you might have to play a little game, because you say that this is easy, Tina, and it is. It gets challenging with some of the even ifs. Okay? Even if they hate you. Yes, still your job to love. Even if they're thrown in jail. Yes. In fact, it becomes even more important. So pay attention. Even if they leave your family or leave your faith, or they curse you and hate you. Yeah. Your job doesn't change. You get it in your head. My job is to love them no matter what. And even if you can do that, no matter what your kid chooses to do. And then because you love them, I share with people all the time strategies about how to help their kids with this or that. But it's no more than manipulation if you lose sight of your job. Your job is to love them no matter what. And even if, when you remember that, you can be present with that child. So I've given you 3 very practical things. Practice saying this is good. Raise your eyebrows.
This is good.
Practice thinking this is exactly as it should be. And remember, your job as a parent is to love them no matter what and even if. I think if you do those 3 things, you're going to be much more present as a parent. And that will be a gift to your child and to you, because your life gets better too.
Yeah, yeah. And children really feel that, and they respond, and it you know, becomes easier to parent them. And I would just, you know, how does this being present affect parenting a teenager? You know, we learn now we have to be present and love them no matter what, and even if, but you know, it gets challenging. And what would be your, besides all this what we've already mentioned, you know, like tips for parenting a teenager and connect to them and really understand them?
There's a model that I share as part of my parent training course that describes 3 different stages of moral development. And the short version is that at stage 1, you're very immature, selfish, self-centered. It's all about me, me, me.
Mm.
At stage 2, there's more cooperation, where we work with each other, we negotiate things, we can have some communication on a rational level. Stage 3 is the highest stage of development, where you do the right things for the right reasons. You're driven by morals and values and ethics. I think where we get into trouble with our teenagers is that we expect them to be mature.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're not yet.
Mm-hmm.
So getting some education about those stages of development can help us to do the appropriate thing as a parent. Remembering our job is what?
Love
To
them.
love them, no matter what, and even if. With teenagers, we get into control battles a lot, because we think that our job is to make sure that they something.
Mm-hmm.
And that irritates them even more than it does the little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they're bigger people and they want to be in control of their own life, don't they?
Yeah.
They can have control through maturity. So our job as a parent is to love them no matter what and even if. And then based on their stage of development, and it's about stage, not age. If you've got a teenager on stage 1, then you have to jump in with consequences and more external kinds of interventions. If they're on stage 2, in the middle, you're going to do more cooperation and communication to help them learn whatever they need to learn. If they're on stage 3, just smile a lot, because they're making good choices all on their
own. Yeah.
Those 3 stages that I was referring to, I have set up in a little course called the Parenting Power Up.
Okay.
And that's something that people can connect to through parentingpowerup.com if they're interested in looking at it. But also at the YouTube channel, where I've got a lot of free videos, some of which talk about these 3 stages, and we've got a few there specifically for teenagers as well.
Amazing. And just before we go, I'm just having really make it short. Why do children spoil every marriage? And I mean it, you know, that a lot of relationships suffer. First they're in love, then they're buying a house, then they are all, you know, planning this family, pregnancy, everything is beautiful. Child number 1, child number 2, or it can stop with child number 1.
Yeah.
And relationships fall apart. And of course, children get to see it and model it, and you know, we are in this vicious cycle. Why do you think this happens so often? And where do parents go wrong? Because we really want to have this safe and beautiful and nice environment for all children to thrive. And this is what it happens. Just, you know, just maybe a short comment before we go.
The quickest version of that I can give you is that we lose sight of our job.
Okay.
As soon as you start thinking your job is to make sure that they whatever, and they don't do that whatever, parents start to blame each other for that. Look, our kid is messed up and it's because you're too permissive, or it's because you're too strict, you're an authoritarian parent. And the parents start fighting each other because they're not able to make sure that their kid behaves. If we remember our job is to love them no matter what and even if, and your kids are not you, you'll have a whole different personality show up to live with you.
Yeah.
And so this happily ever after that you had planned with Prince Charming now includes little Burfler who's got different ideas. So uh,
Yeah.
again, it comes right back to where we started, Tina. It's all about our mindset.
Yeah.
And it's something I call the victim mindset, when we start to blame someone else that, oh, this is the way it should be. And you can see where those practical steps can help. This is exactly as it should be. This is good. And my job is to love them no matter what, and even if.
Yeah. Everyone, including
That's the
yourself.
short version. We could get into
Amazing.
a
Yeah.
whole other
I could,
discussion about
yeah, we should, next time we should do an interview, I think 3 hours long, but because then I would,
oh, there you go.
that would be good. So we ask all of our experts to prepare a special giveaway for our viewers. What did you prepare?
I have prepared a short video that outlines 5 specific steps you can take to be a more positive parent right now.
Amazing.
That's going to change the game for you. And I've got some other things available, but I'll start you with that, okay? Yeah. And the best way to get to that is through parentingpowerup.com. parentingpowerup.com. You'll see there a place where you'll enter your email and get access immediately to this free video. And I'll be happy to send you also a transcript of that video, the article version,
okay,
so that you can review those 5 steps.
Amazing. I just, love all the wisdom and knowledge and everything, you gave us. And I really, to all of you who are watching, I cannot recommend enough Dr. Paul's books and YouTube channel, because he really is going straight to the point with all of your questions and struggles you have as a parent, or as a, just a normal human being who is trying to become, happier and more successful in life in whatever, field you really, just can imagine. And that's why I really, it just, again, such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
I'm honored to be here.
And, it's time we end this interview. Thank you all for being with us today. And I see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.